I feel like maybe my English is not good enough, or I've been dealing with this executives from Europe, from Belgium, and the executives of the San Jose um, company with the BD thing in Europe, and a lot of in the suppliers from Belgium. So all are men. So sometimes I feel like a little bit like, oh my goodness, what should I say right here? Like I feel like kind of like a little bit diminished, maybe by the English, maybe because everybody's like, I don't know. But it's something I'm working on and saying that I'm enough. I'm I'm capable, and I am. And he put me in this situation because I can go through it. So I'm
Amen.
trusting in him, and
Yes.
even though it's not the easiest thing to do for me, it's just something like with this new confidence that I gained. It's just like putting it to the test, right? So I'm facing this learning, trying to listen to the all these different flavors of accents of English with um, in, people from India, people from China, people from France, from Belgium, and it just was like, oh my goodness, please train my ear to be able to understand exactly what they're saying. And sometimes there's so much vocabulary right now that I need to learn, but it's just on the technical side, on the instruments that we're building on. So bleeding valves and connectors and like some type of specific connectors that I'm learning. So I think I'm getting through. I'm walking through it. So I'm just
You're
confident that
being
he will do it.
expanded.
Well,
You're amazing.
it's awesome. I took a few notes. So what perked me up was when you were talking about the disparity in the pay, that we can get a scripture and stand on that with you for justice, that you can get paid what you're worth.
Mhm.
And then
Correct.
and then I just felt like what was breaking over you was no limits, that there's no limits. And I saw supernatural language school in your dreams. Like when you go into a dream, when you're going to sleep, you just prepare yourself and say, Lord, I'd really like to go to language school, because I've heard testimonies of people having dreams and they go through something and all of a sudden they know this language, or they know how to play music or the piano, or Ian Clayton had a dream and he learned how to fix diesel motors or something in the kingdom. So you can have
Yeah.
supernatural language. You're not lacking anything.
Yeah.
And then remember when Alice was talking about the doors to her shop, and she went into the future and pulled them in, and then Melissa and Lakshan did it too. With the amplifier that Lakshan was supposed to be getting from America. They just went in and said, this amplifier is going to get here, and it showed up that day, and it had been traveling all over the place.
Yeah, and being specific really helps, and just calling it. Like, I want this to be here on this day,
Alice, yeah, talk to us more about that, because Carmen and I were talking about, doing that with a man. So if you could,
with a man, beings
you could, if you could talk to about going into the future, that'd be super.
Well, it's very simple.
I'm not kidding. I'm laughing, but I'm not kidding.
No, I know. I'm telling you, I've done it with going to the bank and drawing money out to pay debt off. And what should have taken 8 years to pay off, we finished paying off within a year. So it was totally miraculous. I just thought, okay, people talk about like heavenly libraries. They talk about courts, heavenly courts. And I'm like, there's got to be a bank. And if there is, I should be able to go and withdraw what I need. So I just went in my imagination and I said, this is what I need to pay off my debts, and a little extra. And so, yeah. And then my husband wound up hitting a jackpot. I know, it's crazy.
Like gambling jackpot?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, I should tell you that. No, I can't now, but yeah,
How much?
that's
did you win?
fantastic.
Well, it was several over a period of time. Like we would laugh, like we would laugh hysterically because we're like, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
Calling us,
remember when I
guess what? It happened again, and we're just cracking up on the phone.
remember last year, some of you guys don't know this, but in OIC2, we were doing some sort of assignment where we had to expand our spirits everywhere we went. And so I was down in Arizona visiting my parents, and they love to go to the casino. So I expanded my spirit before I went in there. And I said, as my spirit goes through this casino, everybody's going to get jackpots. Do you guys remember me
Yes,
telling
I
them
remember that.
everywhere I walked? Everywhere I went, bells and whistles started going off and people were winning money. And I said to my stepdad, watch this, let's go over here. So we went over to the other side, and I said, the minute we sit down here, people are going to start winning jackpots. And the bells and whistles went off. And then my mom, she's getting cocky, and she's like, well, there's nothing happening over there. So I went and stood in the corner by where there was nothing happening, and all the bells and whistles started going off. And this lady jumps up from her slot machine, and she runs over and cashes this thing, and she looks at me, she's got tears in her eyes, and she said, my daughter needed this money so bad, and I've got it. So it was like miracle money just popping up. So we can do that.
Yeah.
Now
So
we need the man jackpot.
They said it was supposed to come at a certain time, and then they detained it for a month. I'm like, no, we need this. So I remember talking about this, we were doing something with pulling the future into now. We're not confined to time. So I'm like, okay, well then let me just go in and pull it from the future into the now. Just being a kid, like, so the doors arrived exactly when we needed them. And then, so that's why I did the same thing with the salon doors. It got detained from when they were supposed to send it. And they had a new email that said it's supposed to arrive at this date. I was like, oh no, that won't do. I need it here Wednesday. I need it here no later than Wednesday. Tuesday afternoon, I get an email saying your doors have arrived. So
I love
I was like, okay, this can't be coincidence. So yeah, it's very simple. I just do it with childlike faith. I don't even know like if I'm doing it right or I'm not concerned about that. Like if there's some kind of protocol, I just kind of see it and I declare, and I don't get too attached to the outcome. I just,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I need to go. I want to go back to the Claudia and tell her that I am offended that America's not on her list of places she wants to live. And it's going to take great faith for her to think she's going to go to Sri Lanka and make more money.
I know. I mean,
Possible to her. Where she's
But
called,
anything's possible. With God, anything's possible.
yeah. Wait,
Listen,
one more thing real quick. While we're on the subject, I heard Sheila Begley say that Mexico is going to have a revival very soon.
Oh.
yeah.
Hey, what happened to her husband? I
Yeah.
only heard him that one time. I didn't know who he was. What happened to the husband? Did he die from COVID?
No, he died from cancer.
Oh, crap. I didn't know.
No, can't.
I had no idea.
I'll
I
tell you what,
didn't know
she's
who he was
preached her
before
socks
he.
off.
Yeah, she did.
Really?
Yeah, she preached the day after he died in their church, and I'm telling you what, she is lit.
She is lit.
That was out of the kingdom.
Yes.
Amazing. She's
Yeah.
at a totally different levels, manifest sun. So many things, and she's the one that was talking about the expression of Jesus coming out of us. Heaven on earth is the expression of Jesus coming out of us. And she wasn't going to look at anybody that was sobbing. because she was going to hang on to the vision or the experience she had of Jesus and Darren toasting one another and laughing in heaven. She said, I'm still married to him. He's still my husband. I mean, it was just fabulous.
Yeah. And Father told her to
Wow.
get rid of till death do us part in the marriage vows. He says,
Yeah.
get rid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's some one-liners I wrote down. The I am is in the is. I know that takes a minute, but that really hit me.
Yeah.
If I'm not living in heaven, then I'm not producing heaven.
Mhm.
The other one is, once you lose the fear of being deceived, the deception leaves.
Mhm.
Once you see, you be.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so good. It was so inspiring. I had tears just streaming down my face going that we have to go through so much unlearning to get that. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yes.
even in OIC, we have been just shredding and pulling off all of these old religious tendencies and lies and misinterpreted scriptures. And it's like, oh, I just feel so, it feels like relief to me. I just feel like this joy bubbling up is like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
I listened to the Atoka of the Oklahoma session they had for him, and she did the last message, and she was lit as well. Did you
Yes.
listen?
I listened to it last night.
Yeah,
And the girls, their daughters, holy cow, they're lit
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Who
The
is
singer is really powerful.
Yep.
Who is
Yeah.
Atoka?
I think it's their other church in Oklahoma, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Whose other church? The Begleys?
yes.
God.
They used to be up there, and then
Oh.
Darren's friend now leads that place. The guy that came down and did some speaking while Darren was ill.
Mhm.
Forget his name now.
By the way, did anyone register for that thing that starts tomorrow with Nancy Cohen, Kirby, and Chris Blackaby?
Oh, the monogenics.
Genetics? I have not.
I did the last monogenics, so I just was wondering how different. It'd probably be very different with Nancy Cohen and.
I think so too. And I mean, I don't know. I just felt like
do
I didn't do the last one, so I thought, let me just hop on this one. It'll be interesting. Starts tomorrow.
Is the link on the WOW page?
No.
Where is it? I saw just a blip of it.
Yeah, I'll send you. It's actually being done by a different ministry. Kirby speakers, just like Nancy and Chris Blackaby. And the registration's $150.
It's the 150. Okay.
I have a question. When you guys were talking about, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because I didn't know. My phone like dropped it and then I had to come back. When you guys were talking about pulling things from the future into the now, what if you don't know exactly what that looks like? Like I was thinking about like what I want. I don't really know what I want from this point from my job, like into the next job. I don't know like a specific job I want. So how do you do that if you don't know a specific thing?
Well, first and foremost, you got to explore that and connect to your heart and to the Father and find out what it is that you do want, you know? And some people would say, what's on your scroll? Like, what is the next step to lead you?
I don't understand that when people say that. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know
It's
what's on
always
my
been a
scroll.
mystery to me too. I usually don't use that word.
If I knew that, I mean, that would be so much easier if I could like read a scroll, like people say they've seen their scroll or their destiny scroll. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I
There
don't
is-
have a grid for that.
There's a scripture that says that it's all been written for you already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
139.
Yeah. I know the scripture, but when people talk about that I don't have those. I have not had those mystical experiences of going into the courts or seeing,
No,
the libraries or looking at my scroll or, I have no idea. And predominantly most of my life, as many people have, and many of you, I guess, could probably relate to this, I've just lived my life according to, like you said earlier, being the responsible person, doing what I felt like I was supposed to do so that I can make money for my family, doing it with excellence, but not liking any of it. And so I don't know where I don't even know how to go back. It
you
frustrates
don't have
me.
to go back.
Well, I mean, it
listen,
frustrates me because when people say, like, you go back to like when you were a kid and the things you loved when you were a kid, and that gives you some clue as to like what you probably liked and what's gotten, repressed or whatever.
that hasn't worked for me either. But let me tell you, for me, it's been following my desire.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't even have to be a career or something that makes money, but by me taking that step of desire, like, oh, I have an inkling to take drums, and through drums, God has taught me about myself, and I've seen things about me that I had not seen, and I was able to use that in the next step, and like, oh, now I feel a desire to, do this, and
What if you don't have those?
Huh?
What if you don't have those? Like, seriously, my life has been on a treadmill of going through the motions to where, like, honestly, if you ask me what I want, I don't want to work for like a month or two so I can figure out what my desires really are. I have no idea. No idea.
Well, then that's your next step, is
That
not
is
to work.
Yeah, get off the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give yourself
Yeah.
permission to do nothing,
Yes.
because it goes against everything that you've been trained to do is to do. So now you do the exact opposite.
And
Yeah.
take a thought.
Yeah.
Aren't you, though, Angela, aren't you standing on Jeremiah 29:11?
Yeah, that and John 10:10 and Galatians. Oh, which was about being that came up on, it wasn't something I was standing on, but it came up on the WOW International page, about not being under the law of sin and death, but being, and then out of the blue, one of Kirby's old messages popped up today, and I decided to listen to it when I had a chance. So I'm like walking and I'm like doing all the stuff around the house and I'm like listening to it. And it's about like not being in the body of sin, not being in the body, of death, that collective. And so it just, man, it made so much sense. And so that's where I've been, just like living from that place of.
And you're exactly where you need to be. See, you're being led. Just keep following that.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah 29:11 says he knows the plans and the thoughts that he has for you. And somewhere in there it talks about to bring you to your expected end, like to get you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Christ is in you, the hope of glory. The I am is in the is. And so you've got him in there. And if he knows it, then you know it. And it'll come. It'll just, one day this light bulb is just going to go, turn on, ding, 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 like dominoes. And all of a sudden it's all going to line up and you're going to go, aha moment. But don't think that you have to see something a certain way. I got so hung up with Ian Clayton's stuff that you got to do it this way and this protocol and do this.
I had to stop listening to him, honestly, because I got so stressed out by the protocols and the praying through the years and the days. I'm like thinking, I hardly have time to like have my own prayer just with God, like much less going through like my whole 45 years day by day. Like,
no.
Well, and some of us have practiced legislating and doing some of these kinds of activations, and we've never used a protocol that anybody else uses.
Mhm.
We just flow in the spirit, and then we get confirmations back about what we were praying for, and he tells us we were, right where we needed to be, saying what we needed to declare. I mean, and so we've kind of thrown out the protocol, but with that is all of the I have to do to get,
Mhm.
and I don't have to do that protocol to get. I can engage the Father, and I already have it. It's already there.
Yep. You know what? I add something to that, and it's the be okay with that you're only getting one thing right now, and that's you don't need to have all the steps.
That's right.
You don't need to have the 10 steps ahead.
Are you in my brain?
The second step, it's just do what's right in front of you. And then once you step into that thing, just be at rest. Just step into that thing, and the next step will come when it's supposed to come.
Exactly.
And so even just rest in the fact of how it unfolds, the time frame it unfolds, just enjoy the moment that you're in and stepping into that thing he's showing you. And if it's chilling out by the pool, just chill out by the pool, because he's going to do so much, because that's where he's leading you to do. And it's okay that you're not doing the A, B, C, D, E, F, G while you're chilling out. I'm not saying this is what he's saying, but
Or
it's
something
okay.
productive.
No, that's exactly it. And actually, Jerry and I just had a conversation this morning before we went to work, and he was like, babe, I really wish that you didn't have to work at all for a while, like where you could just listen to the Lord and just be with him and figure out who you are, and and just really connect with that. But in saying that, I said, okay, because I'm trying not to, but I've been focusing even subconsciously on what's the next step, what happens after September 30th, what happens when I don't have a paycheck anymore, like what, and so we just decided, I said, okay, I'm not even going to think about that for the next few weeks. Like, I'm just not even going to, when it enters my mind, I'm just going to be like, nope, I'm not thinking about you right now. Like, I'm just not going to think about what the next step is from that perspective, like of like a lack perspective, like a fear perspective, because I really know that he led me to leave my job. And let me put it this way. I think he would have blessed me if I would have decided to stay, and if I could have done that in a place that my conscience was okay with it, and I could rest in it, and be working from a place of rest. But I also believe that he was giving me confirmation that if it was the desire of my heart to leave, which it was, that I could do that it was okay. Like I wasn't being irresponsible, or I wasn't like putting my family in jeopardy because, I was going to leave. So I think you're right, Barbara and Alice. And I'm always thinking about, I've always had a hard time resting. Like growing up, even like my dad, we would never be able to nap because my dad would like say we were lazy, or that's lazy, that kind of stuff. So like we couldn't even sleep late on the weekends. We had to always get up and always be like cleaning the house, pulling the weeds, like doing something. And still to this day, like I could tell, it doesn't bother me as much anymore, but now I'll kid around with him. Like, yeah, I took a nap today, Dad. I took 2 hours. I took a nap, and I like kid around with him now, and I know it like grates him, but that's because he won't let himself rest. And so that's how, but because of that, like, I don't know really how to just like, have you seen that movie, Eat, Pray, Love? Like where she's in Italy and the Italian guy is like so offended with Americans because he's like, you guys don't know how to rest. You don't know how to be present in the moment and just eat your pizza and enjoy your spaghetti. And you always have to have a reason to do it. Like, why can't you just do it whenever you want to do it? And so I think that for me, That's what I want to concentrate on right now, is like just trying to not be productive.
You
So,
just
and when
got
it comes up, go ahead. Marilyn's walked through that provision thing this week. And you know, when you start thinking of going there, you can just start thanking the Lord for the provision that
Yeah.
he's making this way for you to stay home for as long as you need to.
That's right.
Yep,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, be like Alice. Go to the bank.
That's awesome. I know. I was like totally keyed in when she was talking about that. I was like,
Yes, me
I need to
too.
go to the bank.
I'm gonna go
Me
practice
too.
that.
I think I need to talk to you, Alice.
That one.
I even sat on a bench and waited for my turn. And then I went to the
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
You really went into that.
Oh yeah, I did the whole thing.
Well,
Awesome.
it makes me think of the scripture in Revelation, and I've often just meditated on that, but it's somewhere in there, the first few chapters, about those of you without money, come buy, eat, and drink.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can you buy things if you don't have money? You don't have, you know, and it's like, haha, I'm getting it, you know. And
It's Bitcoin. I'm just kidding.
We talking about Bitcoin now?
I forgot. I've got a crazy story. I'm walking things out with the family, and I'm now learning to walk on the preceding word. So the other day, Father said, bless your enemies. At that particular moment, my son-in-law was very ugly to me. So I said, Father, I bless my son-in-law. Bless him. I don't know how, you know, bless him. The next day, he received a phone call that his dad, that he didn't really know, passed away. And just a month or 2 months before he passed away, he got a road accident. He got 14 million. So
What?
from the 14 million rand will be divided in 3. So so me blessing my enemy, my son-in-law, he's going to inherit more than 7 million rand. So I'm just saying, Father, if you bless my enemies like that, how on earth can you bless me?
Right?
That's awesome.
Wow.
Is $7,700,000?
I have no idea.
It's a lot.
I forgot the conversion. I think something like that, right? Wow, that is a lot of money.
Yes. And so, of course, it will benefit our daughter and the grandchildren. But at that moment, he said, bless your enemies. So I was angry with him, so I blessed him.
Good job.
Awesome.
Well, I didn't get 7 million, but there's an organization that they do grants and get things for people with spinal cord injury, but it has to have happened outside. It has to be an outside sport. So my son has been denied, and we have poured lots of money into stuff. So he wants this bicycle that's like $11,000, but he found one that they're going to refurbish for $6,000. So I wrote to this company. We've been there before. It's a nonprofit on the North Shore. And they actually, the only thing that has been given really to us was this thing called a standing frame, and they gave it to us. But they would never pick him up because he got hurt inside. So this morning, I just was like, Lord, I'm just going to write to them, because they had just sent me a letter about these grants that all these people were receiving. So I said, we're a local. He was born and raised here, and he does everything outside. Like, he was never a gamer or a inside kind of kid. I mean, he water skis and wakeboards and snow skis and rides a unicycle and hikes and bikes and all this stuff. And I said, is there, any way that you would pick him up or consider picking him up, just because he's a local kid, and just because, and he had taken first in state in gymnastics in March, both in Nevada and California, and then got hurt in May. So I said, maybe I shouldn't have said it this way. I said, I don't mean to be a smartass, but if the trampoline was outside, would he have qualified? Like, because it's not that they're extreme sports athletes, they just got hurt outside, you know? And I'm not kidding, within probably a half an hour, maybe less, I would have to look at the times, they wrote me back. And this woman, she said, I work in Truckee, that's where the office is, and their headquarters or whatever, but she lives in State Line, which is like 5 miles from me. And she said, I've seen posters, because I told them we've done fundraising, but it's just hugely expensive. And she said, I've seen posters and things about your son around town and different businesses. So she talked to the guy that started this organization, and they are waiving all those things, and they let my son put in for the grant today. They're going to pay for his bicycle.
What?
Good.
Wow, wow, wow.
That amazing.
That's a happy dance. That's a happy
That's a happy
dance.
dance.
It is a happy dance and a happy story, right? I was like, wow,
Yeah.
go mama. Well done.
Yes.
There you go.
And it's really because of you girls, honestly, or the whole OIC and wow, like, I just feel emboldened. Like, what's the worst thing happen? They say no. Like, okay, go get your car, Marilyn. Just go get, right?
Yes. This is what real iron sharpening iron looks like. It's just so much encouragement and support and, you know, just being in the collective.
Yes.
And, you know, we were talking earlier today, I don't know who I was talking to, Helena maybe, and and through all of the OICs, we've planted some sort of a seed. And then the next OIC, we see it come forward. And we were talking about today in OIC3, people are getting new jobs, new cars, all of these things. And last year in OIC, over Christmas, Melissa told us we had to write a Christmas list and all the things that we wanted for Christmas. And what was on our list at that time was cars, husbands, jobs, all kinds of stuff. And now we're seeing that kind of stuff manifest in OIC3. So it's like each group is getting to reap a harvest from what was sown in the group before, which is so crazy.
Very cool.
What's OIC4 going to be doing? What are they going to manifest? I mean,
They're going to be translated.
yes.
Walking through walls.
Yes, we're all going to gather up for our international invasion, and we're going to translate, and we are going to manifest right in front of Kirby.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I'm 100% in agreement.
Yeah.
So be it.
Oh.
Gosh.
It's possible, by the way. So
Yes.
Yes.
When I listen to the messages, I don't usually watch the screen. Well, I watched enough to see where Melissa is, and then I know she's right there grabbing it all for us.
Yep.
And then I just lay down, and I envision myself standing right there, or walking up to the front, or walking around the pulpit, or stepping over by somebody I recognize. And I've had these visions like walking up next to Shamalka and putting my hand on her shoulder. And then I would ask Melissa, did Shimmy see me? Did Shimmy feel me on the back? Because it felt so real. And one time when Cammie was over there, I went into like this full vision where I walked out some double doors that were like from a kitchen into this ballroom kind of a thing. And I walked through the crowd right up to Cammie, who was in the front praying, and she was wearing a shirt that looked like blue shimmery water. And I put my hands on her back and I prayed for her. So then I kind of came out of it and I'm like, man, I feel like I was right there. So I texted her and I said, is there a double door in the back of this room? Are you wearing a blue shirt that looks like water? You know, and asked her all of those things, and I had some confirmation out of that. So
Wow.
we are on the verge, ladies. We're at the threshold of translating.
Mm.
And it doesn't cost any money, and you don't need a passport.
I keep on losing mine, so that's a good thing.
So, Linda Mary, is that you on the iPhone trying to get back in, or is that Angela?
I'm on. Can you see me?
No, it just says iPhone. But Linda's been trying to get on, and she can't hear. And so I told her to hop off and then try to get back in. I don't have any controls from my
And
end.
Cammie too. Cammie
Where's me?
wrote
Is
a
she
message.
you lost her?
Yeah,
Cammie wrote a message?
yeah, in the chat.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't see that. She was going to go meet with her boss. Oh, that was me that wrote, still can't hear getting in again. I was trying to get a hold of
Oh,
Linda.
I thought that was Cammie. My bad.
Yeah.
Glasses.
Yeah. So we have all had some really happy stories this week and some real revelatory moments. We have to keep the momentum up. So don't be strangers to one another. Chat us up and keep putting stuff on the feed, and I just feel like we're powering up.
So one of the things I wanted to share.
Hey, what Power Ranger is that? Do they have names?
Oh no. My grandson puts it on and he yells, "Go, go, Power Rangers."
Do you know one of my clients and his girlfriend were Power Rangers? They were the ones in the suit doing the stunt stuff.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to say before we leave is really to start, you know how Melissa say, what do you say? You know, because I say so. So start practicing that whole, well, what do you see? What do you say about it? What do you see about it? And I've been doing this the last week, and honestly, it is really powerful. And instead of letting my analytical mind start analyzing, judging what I'm saying, I just ignore it. I just keep letting it flow. Let it flow out of me, you know? Like just recently, we met up with our LA group, and you know, two people said, "Kay, can you pray over me?" And I was like, okay. I was like, this is an opportunity to practice the new way I'm praying, which is by seeing and saying. So I just closed my eyes and I said, I see you, da 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 da, and I just started declaring, and it just was flowing. I didn't have to analyze and think about it. Well, what if I'm saying, you know, no, it's you and the Father are one.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to share that before we get off, to really just put that in practice, even if it's just baby steps.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything else they want to share or discuss before we part ways? Okay. Well,
I can tell you another crazy story. Last night, my last night, I've been praying about Ezekiel 1 verse 1.
Yeah.
I was among the captives at the river, and heaven opens, and I saw Elohim. So as I was meditating upon it, and then the whole night afterwards for about 3 hours, it was almost, I think, like the butterfly effect. It's like I went backwards, I went forwards in time, and because somehow somebody commit a murder, and then out of self-defense, I commit a murder. And now I went backwards to try to not commit the murder. Then I went to the future not to commit the murder. So for 3 hours, I was backwards forwards, try to prevent things that I don't commit the murder. And after 3 hours when I was awoke, I was thinking, now, what is this dream? Because it felt so real. It literally felt like I was back in the future. I was in the past tense every time, tried to fix the situation. And as I was meditating upon it, Father said, but you never went back to the situation where you start taking offense. Okay. So when I went then, just being fully awake, then I went back in time, and then I just sensed this is a situation where I took offense. I said, okay, I'm calm, relaxed, I'm not taking offense. And all of a sudden, bang, I just knew I didn't commit suicide. Not suicide, I didn't commit a murder, because I erased a situation that could have caused me.
That's good.
So instead of not fixing, like in the movies, fixing not to commit a murder, I went back to the situation where I took offense. So because I had no offense, I couldn't commit a murder.
That's
But
awesome.
to me, it was a strange encounter.
I'd like to ask a question more about this. Don't take offense that Barbara and all three of you at least were talking about. About, you know, Barbara, you were speaking about not taking offense over the cold or the heat or something. So explain to me what that meant.
For me personally,
Yeah, like what did that look like? So I would like to be able to know, become more aware of that.
well, for me, for the elements, you know, I was offended at, let's just talk about snow. I was offended at snow because, like Carmen said, it was inconvenient. I had to go shovel it. Oh my gosh, it snowed so much, you know, and I have to shovel like a foot of snow and be offended by it. And then I didn't want it to snow because it would inconvenience me, you know?
Right.
And so I had to reconcile with that. And look at, you know, because then, you know, the snow was, because it was really boiled down to really being offended with the elements of water. So the Lord was just opening up where I was offended with water. And so it was the snow, and the snow came because it was inconvenient and all this stuff. And then the heat, you know, of course, humidity, there's water, and I'm, you know, the heat, and it was really, it was uncomfortable for me. And so I just, you know, I dealt with those emotions that were attached to the discomfort or the inconvenience or any of that. And I released the offense that I had. And now doesn't matter if it snows or not, or I go out in the humidity and it doesn't bother me. I don't get irritated by it anymore. And I can breathe in it. I don't get tired. It's just a whole different ball game now for me. So did that explain it to you?
Somewhat, yeah. Okay, and so I'm just thinking about where I live right now, and the air conditioning is really poor, and so my summer was pretty nasty. And because I live on all my windows are on the south, and I'm at the corner of the building, so I get the heat from the east all morning, and then it comes around and comes in my windows on the south. And sorry. And so I can get offended with that.
You know, I had the same circumstance happen to me, not the same, but it's very similar circumstance with the summer. My air conditioning broke. And it was like, you know, the time when it was like 90 degrees out. And I mean, I would literally be sweating. And I sit in my chair and I would slide off my chair because I was sweating so bad. And I think it was me really ruling over my emotions over it, of how that was making me feel. And just getting to the place of just rolling over. It didn't even bother me. I was laughing because I would like literally be like so sweaty I would slide off my chair. But yeah, and I wasn't offended by it. And, you know, and the emotion that came up, because in the past I would be irritated. I would be like really snappy because I was uncomfortable. And so I dealt with that emotion that would come up when the heat came and I was hot, sweaty, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so the offense left
Okay.
when that's pretty much how I dealt with it. I mean, it's probably different for everybody how they would walk that through.
It helps. Yeah. Thank you.
Carmen, Alice, does anybody have anything to say on top of that? Into like opening it up more and what I said?
No, I think you covered it, other than maybe reframing something. Like if a certain something is offending you and you get irritated and you kind of get triggered, is giving it a different meaning, you know? Like for instance, for me, I now say, oh, the mosquitoes are sucking toxic blood. Like they're just, I need it, so therefore they're going to the areas that needs to be balanced out. You know what I mean? Like whatever you need to tell yourself to reframe it and give
Right.
it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I did the conversion on 7 million rand
Was I right?
to
Or
American 7 million rand equals 418,595 US dollars.
whew. What is the conversion rate?
Good on ya.
Wow.
It's not showing me. I just put the numbers in and it calculated. It's not showing me what the.
Okay. That's still a lot of money.
Let me see. Yeah.
That is. That's wonderful.
So what I would say, Helena, is
So
you sowed that money for a harvest.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Name the harvest.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a happy dance.
Yeah. 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 Shall I jump on my bed?
You're jumping on your bed. I can't see you.
One of my friends, whenever like I'd be looking for parking, and that's a huge commodity here. You don't know. So I was about to pull into a parking spot and somebody came and grabbed it before me. She said, oh, don't worry. I always just say, I'm sowing that into a better one. I'm sowing that as a seed for a better parking spot.
That is great.
Yeah.
Good attitude.
That mind shift is awesome.
Mm.
yep, let's keep doing it. I love all of you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bless you all.
Blessings. Hugs. Can't wait to see you all in person someday.
Yes.
Yes.
Bye.
We're coming.
I know.
Okay.